Well, we could talk about comics probably all night.
Yeah.
But let's try to move on. Let's go through our list there. Comics,
Okay.
games, movies, music, other fandoms.
Yeah.
What about games? Now, we said that I've always been more into games and more of a collector of
Right.
games. But now you have played your share of video games, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You know, it all started in the 80s. You know, you had the Atari that kind of got things. There's an interest brewing there, but then when Nintendo showed up, it just kind of launched everything in the stratosphere. And then it was Nintendo, and it was only Nintendo for a pretty long time. And you know, you grow up, you're playing the Mario and the Legend of Zelda, and those are the staples, and they're still staples today. But you know, back then, I grew up. I played Dragon Warrior was a big one that I remember playing when I was younger, and then we played probably the first 4 or 5 Final Fantasy games. Those were a big one for us growing up. We love those, and the cool thing about those is that those are while they're turn-based games, they're also character driven. And you learn to like these characters, and then there's no guarantee that character is going to make it through the entire game. And then, you know, my daughter loves Disney Infinity. So we still sit around and play Disney Infinity now, even though...
Rest in peace, Disney
yes,
Infinity.
Indeed.
Yes.
It's been fun. I saw a special the other day at Walmart. They had like 3 or 4 Disney Infinity figures left. They were like $1. I felt so bad.
You talk about Disney Infinity. I have every single figure, but now I bought most of those. Matter of fact, most all of the ones I have, I bought on clearance or buy 2 get 3 free, because they were getting ready to go out of business, and I scooped them all up. And I bought those because I enjoy the games. They're simple. They're for children as far as the combat mechanics and things like that. But I still enjoy playing them, and I bought them for my son because I thought, well, that's about going to be on his level when he first starts playing. And I'm such a collectaholic that if I'm going to collect something, I'm going to do it right. So the opportunity was there. They were cheap enough.
Yeah.
And I made some trades with people and wound up with every character. So
that's awesome.
That just kind of happened. And then really, like I said, a lot of the games that I'm buying nowadays are in anticipation of him getting ready to play things.
Yeah.
I still buy games for myself and collect games for myself. I actually have a New Year's resolution for 2018. January's not over, but I'm successful so far. I'm not going to purchase a video game this year.
Really?
The reason for that is I have almost 800 games on the shelf that I have yet to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm almost more of a collector than I am a gamer. And so I just come to that realization one day, and so this year I'm just going to play games instead of buying games, and hopefully I can catch up a little bit on my backlog.
Now, is that traditional video games, or does that include the VR stuff that you like too?
That's including every game I have. Now VR, I'll probably I do VR reviews, and right now I'm with the YouTube channel is the Rapscallion Brigade, and I'm on Twitter, and on that channel is the VR Addict. Twitter is the Real VR Addict. But I do reviews of PSVR games. That's the only VR setup that I own is the PlayStation VR. And I do reviews of those games. And I've actually had a couple of the last few games that I've reviewed I didn't pay for. The channel paid for it. So
nice.
That doesn't count. When somebody gives it to
it?
me, that doesn't count as something that I bought this year. So that's still, I'm still successful at my resolution not to buy any games.
Yeah, if they're paying for it, then it doesn't count.
So, so that's I guess a way to get around that. But
of course,
I sat and counted up my games right after Christmas, and decided that I had all these games that, you know, I pick them up when I see them. I want to play that. I'll buy a game with the intention that I'm going to play that one day, and then never get around to it. It stays on the shelf, or something else comes out that I move on to, and then I realize there's several hundred games that I own that I've never even touched. So I said, this year I'm just going to play games. I'm not going to buy games, and it's working well so far. Of course, we played with my son. Played through Super Mario Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing the Batman Telltale series right now. It's awesome so far.
Yeah.
And but my history with games, I guess my first system that I owned was an NES.
Mm-hmm.
But even when I had the NES in the mid '80s,
Old school.
or late '80s, that's right, old school. Even when I owned that was the latest and greatest thing. For whatever reason, I was still amused by the Atari 2600.
Mm-hmm.
Like even when the Nintendo Entertainment System was the newest thing, for whatever reason, I was still into retro.
Yeah.
I liked the Atari, even though the graphics were horrible, nowhere near as good as the NES, and the sound was, basic. I don't know what amuses me about older, vintage things, but I'm into it. And so now I own just about every system from that system all the way to the newest ones, and I play them all. So I've played games, collected games. Now I've started reviewing games, and now we're going to start up this OmniGeekCast to talk about them.
Yeah, so, that's something too that I don't know if we addressed at the beginning or not, but where we came up with the name OmniGeeks is we are fans of so many things. And we're fans of almost every type of. If there's a fandom, we have some kind of association with it. If we're just we join in with that fandom, or if we watch it from afar.
And I think part of that is, for me anyway, part of that is my ADD. Like I jump from one thing to another. You don't see many people who are huge NFL fans and read comic books.
Yeah, this is true.
Or play video games and play, like when we were in high school, we were both on the football team. Mm-hmm. We were both jocks, but both nerds. You don't see that often.
This is true.
And I attribute that a little bit, at least, to the ADD.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I remember in high school, there was a conversation that had, and it was in one of our math classes, and somebody asked out loud, has anybody seen that Captain America movie? And it was the really bad Captain America movie.
Yeah, I remember that
from the 90s.
Right.
And it was so bad and so cheesy, and there was no I wasn't going to admit that I'd already seen it twice. But the thing was, though, we were those guys.
Yeah.
And I remember we would, on Friday nights after we played football, we'd go to your house and we'd play Madden or whatever.
Right. We
spent hours doing that, and it drove.
Yeah, that's one thing that I guess is peculiar about our high school experience is. So most Friday nights, your high school football players and cheerleaders and even some of the other students will usually go to a party somewhere after the game, and we would just meet back at my house and play games, play video games.
Yeah, so, go to Waffle House.
Yeah, or go to Waffle House.